Showers and thunderstorms likely in the forecast for Tuesday and Tuesday night, maybe a severe thunderstorm. And the high in the mid-80s Tuesday, mid to upper 60s Tuesday night. Isolated showers and thunderstorms Wednesday, partly sunny, 80 to 85. Jonesboro, that's your KLEK 102.5 FM weather.
From Feature Story News at the G7 in Biarritz, I'm Elena Casas. US President Donald Trump says he was told in advance of the visit of Iranian Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif to the G7, but it's too soon for the two men to meet. The leaders will focus on climate change on Monday, with Emmanuel Macron saying they are close to agreeing a plan to tackle forest fires in the Amazon, and Indian President Narendra Modi will meet Trump for a bilateral.
It's 9:01.
Community Conversations is brought to you by Arkansas Early Learning, offering no-cost childcare in Jonesboro and Northeast Arkansas. Applications at arearlylearning.org.
Arkansas Early Learning is a nonprofit organization.
KLEK LP Jonesboro, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council. It's now time for Community Conversations, a program focusing on the people working to make the Jonesboro community a better place, while offering viewpoints from all sides of the issues. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK 102.5 FM, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our underwriters or sponsors.
Good morning, everyone, and you're tuned in to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. I'm your host, Kobila Jones, and sitting in with me is Leganzi Kale, Cato Wonder, and we have special guests from Citizens Taxed Enough. We have, is it Ms. or Mrs.? Mrs. Iris Stevens.
Pull that mic closer to you. Do you have me? Do you have me turned on, Q?
Yes.
Okay.
Mrs. Iris Stevens and Mr. Bob Hester. Good morning to you all.
Good morning.
Well, before we get into it, I do have to give a disclaimer because this is a discussion about the tax proposal of KLEK. We do not endorse nor support or oppose any particular position on this issue, nor was any compensation provided for this interview. This interview is provided for informational purposes only. However, we will encourage you to vote whether you are voting for or against the tax proposal, and early voting starts September 3rd and Election Day is September 10th.
All right, so we're going to get right into our discussion, and we want to know how did you all come up with this, the name, and what prompted you to come up with this proposal initiative campaign?
We have a lot of people who are concerned about taxes in this community, and especially when we realize how overly taxed Arkansas is compared to their income.
Okay.
And that's called a tax burden.
Okay.
And we looked at these proposals, and why, personally, I didn't see anything wrong with them. We felt like it's not the right decision to make for Jonesboro to have a tax initiative to raise money for all of these. A lot of these would be much better served if they were done by private enterprise, which usually does a better job than government in spending money to make money. And that was why. Now, as far as the name, that was just popped out by one of the people that's not here. She just said tax enough already. I said, we'll go with it.
All righty then. All right. Mr. Hester, would you like to chime in to add to what Mrs. Iris said?
No, but I believe the name does fit real well, because that's the whole idea. We believe we're overtaxed already.
Okay. Leganzi, you have a question?
Okay, well, let's just go into the reasons in which you all are opposed to the Team Jonesboro proposal as it's currently written.
As it's currently written, it's a 1% tax increase, which doesn't sound like an awful lot, and that's, what that side says. It's not an awful lot, but it does impact everything. And of course, Arkansas already ranks extremely high as far as sales taxes. And people say, well, but Jonesboro sales tax. Well, but you have to consider it as part of the whole, because the state already takes taxes of 6.5%. Then we have a county tax of 1%, and then a city tax of 1%. So you add another percent on top of that, and believe it or not, it actually adds up to Tennessee's sales tax, and they don't have an income tax, but theirs is the highest in the country. There was an article that came out here just within the past week. I have it. It was in the Democrat Gazette, where they said they had to admit, yes, Arkansas sales tax was one of the highest when you combine state and local sales taxes in the country. And the legislators said maybe we need to do something about that, because sales taxes hit the poor and the middle class harder than they do the other classes. You know, people who make a lot of money don't miss 1%. People who are living on the edge, that 1% adds up. And so when we looked at that versus the proposals, you know, and then also some of the reasons that they wanted, we felt like were not probably what they should be. So the individual programs, projects, they're not necessarily a problem. But when we look at the number one that everybody talks about is the aquatic center and the water features, those are enormously expensive, not only to build, but also to maintain. Millions and millions of dollars to maintain. The insurance alone is stratospheric because people get hurt at water parks. So, so they have to have a lot of insurance. Now, Hague Brown, a construction company here in town, had actually looked at doing a water feature, a water park. And this was a couple of years ago, and they did all the investigation, all of the, calculations, and they set it on the shelf. Now, these people are designed to do projects that will make them money. Why did they set it on the shelf? Because they said, ooh, we cannot make money on this project, and a lot of places don't. It would be a bottomless pit for Jonesboro when you're talking about tax money. Now, private developer, they can shift things around, but the city just has to keep up with it. And we did the research on that too, and that's something that needs to be done by a private developer. There's no reason that there can't be some city impact. Do you remember here a couple of weeks ago when the news reported the light show, the Christmas light show? Mm-hmm. Look at what happened. The city was kicking in some money, but private industry, private developers were going to do the majority of that, and that's what really needs to be done to take the burden off the backs of Granny Smith, who's living paycheck to paycheck and doesn't need another $5 a month on top of anything else that she's paying.
No, you had another question?
Oh, no, we had some Facebook shout-outs already. And, of course, if you have a question or a comment for our guest today from Citizens Tax Enough, you can give us a call at 870-277-1080. Again, that phone number is 870-277-1080. Or you can leave your questions and your comments on our Facebook live feed, and we have some people checking in. Christy Goff Holt says Brian Holt. Letitia Fox Rochelle tags Ashley Wilson. Looks like we got a lot of people on here just tagging people, make sure that people are checking in.
We do thank you all for checking in. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to ask them. I want to ask. And
this is whether you are for or against the proposal. Again, we provide this opportunity, and we do the same when we have Team Jonesboro here. We want to foster a dialogue and a discussion, no matter what way you feel on the issue.
All right, so for someone like me who doesn't know a lot about taxes, there's a term progressive, there's a lot of different terms.
A regressive tax, one that impacts more, people that it doesn't need to impact.
And so have you been able to do the numbers on if this proposal passes, what would the 1% look like for those in the different income ranges?
I've actually got some material here if I can find it. That's my problem. I've got an entire folder, and sometimes you can't find stuff.
Well, while you're looking for that, I will ask the gentleman a question. You can also chime in on it as well. One thing that a recent mailer that the Team Jonesboro side has put out is basically saying this is our plan, and then the opposition's plan is nothing at all. So if this does not pass, and again, we're not advocating one side or the other, what do you think it's going to take for the police and the fire to get the things that they need? Because at the end of the day, it is true that the fire department does need at least 2 fire stations, and that's right now, and they're going to need more in the future. Chief Elliott has mentioned that he needs to hire 30 officers, 10 detectives, and get radios and all of this other stuff. So if this doesn't pass, what do you guys feel is the best way going forward to address these needs? Okay. And also at the same time, attract people to come to Jonesboro, because one of the reasons why the Team Jonesboro side say that they are doing this is they want to keep Jonesboro's best and brightest in town.
Okay, you've given me a lot of information to try to look up very quickly. First of all, I agree with you on this getting out to vote. That's one of the problems with a special election at this particular time where kids are getting back to school and people are not paying attention. We need people to get out to vote for or against it, because only about 17 to 19% of the people vote in a special election. That means 80% of the people are not being represented. Only 20% of the people are saying what they want, and the other 80% of the people are sitting home going, whoa, what happened? And that's why we're trying to encourage people to get out, either for or against, but know what you're voting for.
Okay.
Iris, let me halfway address what he asked, and then I'll let you answer it more correctly. For is exactly what other methods would be used. I think there are a lot of methods that could be used, and which one is the best, I can't say as I know, but I think if we look into them and realistically, that these things could be done, the necessary things could be done very easily. But what we're concerned about is the very unnecessary things that it's going to cost so much and be a tax burden not only for this 12 years, but when you look at it long term, it's going to continue to be a tax burden. And Iris can elaborate more on that if you want to.
That'd be fine. I need to have my questions written down.
Okay.
I did want to address the thing about keeping Jonesboro attractive.
Okay.
One of the things that does keep a city attractive is the tax rate, and let me tell you why. Jonesboro, this report just came out from the Garner Economics. Jonesboro, over the last few years, since 2013, has had a 13.6% job growth.
Okay.
That's phenomenal. That surpassed the nation.
Okay, I'll let you finish it.
Okay, and which nationally was only 9%, and the rest of the state was only a 6% increase. So Jonesboro grew at over twice the rate the rest of the state did, and more than the national. Normally Arkansas lags behind in every area of the state from the national. We've also had a 14% growth in people coming to Jonesboro.
Okay.
And so I don't think we're growing, and people come for jobs, they come for a good living environment, and that's why we are so strongly supportive of the police and the fire department. What we think is a targeted tax increase to support them would be voted on probably overwhelmingly by everybody, because the people we've talked to have said, we support the fire and police, but these other things are not necessities. And taxes have traditionally been for necessities. You can't drive down Nettleton, which is the way I came here this morning, on that road and not think that Jonesboro has some real improvements to do on some of our streets and roads. And that's number one, streets and roads, utilities, and safety, fire and police safety. So we think that a targeted tax increase specifically related to fire and police would overwhelmingly pass. Okay. And that's one of the things that we do, because so many people have said, if we just had if we could just vote on the 0.5% that went to the police and fire, yeah, I'd do that. But I just don't believe the other projects are needed enough for it to be taking money out of us for 12 years. And let's be realistic, it will not ever come off.
Right.
Because they haven't even, in their figures that we've seen, they haven't even allowed for maintenance and staffing and some of those other things. Well, the city is not just going to let these projects go downhill. So at the end of 12 years, what will happen is the same thing that happened in Fayetteville when they did a bond issue similar to this.
Okay.
After 10 years, 12 years, they went back in and said, we got to have the money to keep this stuff up. And of course, the city voted for it, or the Fayetteville citizens voted for it because they didn't want to see it go down. So practically speaking, this tax will never come off. Now, what about how do we get tax money? With a 14% rate of growth, that's people coming to Jonesboro, every one of those people comes and contributes taxes. Now, we've heard that, and I don't really like this, that, certain people are not coming to contribute, they're taking away. I don't buy that. We haven't seen it, and I've looked at the census statistics, I looked at world population that actually has specific to Jonesboro, and we have not seen that. So I would be happy to get those statistics and where they got those at any point. But every group, every family that moves in pays taxes. Okay. They have to buy groceries, they have to buy. So your tax base naturally expands the more growth that you have.
Okay. Now, for those, and again, this is not for, against, or whatever, this is just a question.
I understand.
Comments that I've seen on social media sites. For those that say, okay, well, we have jobs, but then are they quality jobs? Are people making enough to really contribute enough
yes, they
to
are.
The coffers of the city?
I saw, and I don't have it right in front of me. I believe it or not, as much material as I have here, I have to have twice as much at home. And you never know what you're going to be asked, so you just kind of pick and choose.
Okay.
Yes, as a matter of fact, they did a study of the income, and I'm really hesitant to say how much that was because I don't have it right here in front of me. But if I'm not mistaken, it was somewhere around $40,000. So, and I'll have to go back and look at, because I don't want to misrepresent anything. But I was surprised at how the quality of the jobs that were coming, that they're not just, low quality. Now, we've got to share those, but, my kids had low quality jobs and cheap jobs when they were growing up, because that's what paid their, supplemented their allowance, and that was for those. But when they got older, they also wanted good jobs. Now, my son doesn't even live here. He lives in Little Rock because he's a bridge designer for the Department of Transportation. Okay. So no, he won't come back here. It wouldn't make any difference what you offer to him, because that's where his job is, and that's what his degree supports. And we don't have bridge designers in Jonesboro. Okay. So there's some of that too.
All right. Did you have a question, Lagenzi?
No, not this time. I'm just kind of monitoring the live feed.
Okay.
Shout out to Yesenia Hernandez Lovo. Always good to see you checking in.
All right. So another similar question concerning the jobs. Another argument that I've heard is that, well, if we have these facilities or similar amenities, that it will attract, again, more industries, because there'll be more people here, and whatever else, however the conversation goes. So what do you say to that, as far as?
I say, if we have private development that sees that they're going to make a profit, with those kind of projects, they will build that for people to come. You've heard the saying, if you build it, they will come. And that's really basically true. They will provide those. And that's why we think the city ought to be much more aggressive in saying, talking to some of the developers, say, put this in. We'll make you, we'll give you a tax advantage. Because they do that for some of the industries and things. But I have never yet had anybody tell me from the other side, who I think are good people. I'm not denigrating them at all. They are doing what they think is necessary. We just have a different view on how that should be done. But they have never been able to tell me that, they had somebody come to Jonesboro and they refused to take the job because we didn't have a water park or a dog park. Okay. That's just not something that most people will look at specifically, and I'm talking about the whole projects. They look at the job, what they're going to be paid, the quality of life that they had of a city, and I know that's feeds into the quality of life issues, but it's way more than just individual projects, which the city, I look at it and I think, yes, the city does need pools. When my children were growing up here, we had 2 pools in the city. And we don't have but one now, and I'm not even sure if it's available to everybody because I don't have young kids.
Well, that's one of the arguments. I've attended one of the discussions they held at the forum, and that was one of the arguments, is that, well, when there's competitions, the pool shuts down for that, so the residents don't get a chance to enjoy the facility. And so there are many other arguments.
I understand. So we had the Earl Bell and we had the Y. Well, we live not too far from the Y, so, for the first year, I think my kids, I'd take them up to the Y, and then I'd stay with them. Up to the Earl Bell. And then I paid membership for the Y because they could walk to the Y. They walk there and walk back home and do their swimming, and I could do other things. So there is a need for some things like that, but we have a huge number of projects here costing, they estimate, and I think most estimates wind up, if you'll talk to builders and things, they wind up on the low side. Okay. $100 million.
Okay.
So that's an enormous amount of money to be taking out of people's pockets over 10 or 12 years. And I know it would be great. It would be wonderful if we could do all of them. I have no doubt about that.
Right, so
and as I said a while ago, those things that are the best or whatever, there are ways to do those that it's more logical and economical if they would just look into it.
I do want to mention, because something that has been mentioned, I think in every presentation that they've given, is that we have a problem attracting and keeping doctors. Well, the problem with that is we have a shortage in this country that by, I think it's 2025, 100,000 across the country. Everybody's having trouble attracting doctors and keeping them. Everybody. That's not a Jonesboro issue. And I'm not real sure how many doctors would come if they were promised that their kids could, play in an aquatic center. I just don't know if that's the feature, that would attract doctors. I've actually had doctors tell me no, but then that's not a survey. That's just what they've told me, that the shortage was nationwide.
Okay. We're going to get ready for a break in about 2 minutes, so I don't want to get too deep into another question, but I do want to throw some talking points out that we can talk about on the other side. So if if this is not voted on or voted down, I should say, in September, do you feel that the two groups can come together and say, okay, let's see how we can collaborate and come up with draw up a whole new plan for Jonesboro?
I think we'd be more than willing to talk about that if we made the projects a little bit more realistic and focused our immediate attention on the fire and police.
And then now that more residents are aware of both, I don't know how aware they are of your group. You do have want to let people know you do have a Facebook page. Mm-hmm. And so if they would love to learn more about what your stance is, they can go and read that.
Mm-hmm. Citizens Taxed Enough on Facebook.
Well, speaking of police and fire, I know we got about a minute left, so I'm going to try to make this quickly. There's no one who's opposed to supporting police and fire, but there are some people who are not necessarily in favor of the proposal who are skeptical because they feel like, well, didn't we give a raise for police and fire before? So what happened to that money? I mean, that's some of the chatter that has been heard. And so what would you say to that?
I would say that there's no guarantee with this particular raise that we're talking about. As a matter of fact, I don't know if their stance has changed because citizens, Team Jonesboro will have nothing to do, and I don't think the Integrity Council has anything to do with the police and fire situation. That will be only a factor of the City Council.
Now, in response to that, from what I've read from the Team Jonesboro literature, is that they had a lawyer to draft up the ordinance to make it airtight to where that money could not be diverted to anywhere else. But we're going to have to get ready to leave it there. We will pick this discussion up on the other side of the break. Shout out to Amanda Donovan, who says, how is this going to affect fixed and low income? We'll talk about that on the other side of the break. So don't go anywhere. Continue to share this video. Let's get many people as possible watching and join in on the discussion. Let us know what you think. Ask your questions and leave your comments. We're speaking with members of Citizens Taxed Enough. This is Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
Husbands, do you know what your wife really wants? I'm Mark Merrill with today's Family Minute. We all want to be the best husband we can be, but it's not easy. Why? Well, women are different. Their desires and their ways of communicating are often not like our own. Here are 5 things wives wish their husbands knew. First, that women desire appreciation. Wives want to feel valued, and being a mom is hard work, so never take them for granted. Second, that wives desire attention. So in a world where phones, television, and other technology are shouting out for our time and distracting us, show your spouse she is still your number one by giving her your full attention when you're together. For more things wives wish their husbands knew, check out my blog at markmerrill.com. Remember, your family first.
Family Minute is made possible by the Kappa Nu Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, a non-profit organization committed to service to all mankind. Kappa Nu Omega Alpha Kappa Alpha on Facebook and KNOMEGA1908.com.
Family Minute is brought to you by the Gears Foundation, a non-profit organization providing students with assistance in their academic and career pursuits. Gears Foundation on Facebook, Gears_Inc. on Instagram, and the Gears Foundation at gmail.com.
Help keep KLEK on the air. We are seeking 100 donors to give at least $20 per month, but we are happy with any gift, large or small. Come by our studio at 1411 Franklin Street in Jonesboro. Call us at 870-277-1080 or visit our website, klekfm.org, or you can use Cash App, $KLEKFM, or text KLEK1. Send it to 44321.
Anointed Prolube, 1216 East Johnson Avenue, serves the Jonesboro community inspired by Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. They offer brake service, oil changes, tire plugs, basic tune-ups, wiper blade changes, bulb changes, and coolant system flushes. Open Monday, Thursday, and Friday 8 to 5, Tuesday and Wednesday 8 to 4, and Saturday 8 to 2. More information 870-520-5039.
Hello, I'm Officer Jonathan Higgins of the Jonesboro Police Department. One of the best decisions I ever made was to join the Jonesboro Police Department. Since joining, I've had the pleasure to give back, protect, and serve my community. Now I want to let you know about that same opportunity. The Jonesboro Police Department will conduct testing for the patrol officers at the Valley View High School. Applications are available online at jonesboropolice.com. The Jonesboro Police Department offers a competitive salary, health, and retirement benefits, top-of-the-line training, and most importantly, the chance to make a difference in the Jonesboro community. Join me in making Jonesboro a better place. The Jonesboro Police Department is an equal opportunity employer, and women and minorities are especially encouraged to apply. More information, 870-935-5657.
Applications are being accepted. Applications are available at JonesboroPolice.com. KLEK 102.5 FM wants to be active in the community. If you or your organization is hosting a community service event, we would like to know about it and be a part of it. KLEK will promote your event on air, online, and on social media. KLEK personalities may also attend the event and provide music and or entertainment. Certain restrictions and availability may apply. If you or your organization would like to partner with KLEK to make the Jonesboro community a better place, call 870-277-1080 or email us at klek@klekfm.org. In order for a community announcement or church announcement to be aired on KLEK 102.5 FM, we ask that the announcement be sent at minimum 1 week in advance. Thank you for supporting KLEK 102.5 FM.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
Wait a minute. Wait. Good morning. Welcome back. Go ahead.
See, I was primed and ready to go. We're back on Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. This is Cato Wonder. I am joined by Quabila Jones. And why do I hear? Do you have 4 on?
I do not.
Okay.
Maybe I have it too high. Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, if anybody wants to donate to get us some new studio equipment, give us a call at 870-277-1080. We could really appreciate it. And I'm not playing about that anyway. But we are joined by Citizens Text Enough. They are talking about their opposition to the Team Jonesboro proposal. As always, KLEK is neutral on this issue. We do provide this opportunity for informational purposes only. And actually, on a programming note, we will actually have Team Jonesboro in the studio this Wednesday. On the other side of the break, we had a question from Amanda Donovan, who asked, how is this going to affect fixed and low income?
Okay.
It is going to have an impact, and because every percent you go up brings in more, and I think I've got this on my phone, but I will do it in a minute. We did do the study, and it does impact because it has a lot of different venues that it impacts you. Plus, people don't really know, a lot of people don't realize that this spring our legislature passed an entire slate of tax increases. They've heard about the income tax decrease, but they actually passed a bunch of tax increases. And those are in gas. Gas is going to go up twice, gas and diesel. And when you think, well, gas increase, that's, I think it's 14%, even though it goes from like 24 to 28 cents a gallon. But that's an impact. Cell phone fees, water fees, internet fees, and of all things, cigarette papers, which we would think, well, I don't smoke, that's a big deal. But what people have asked, is that going to impact people who do the medical marijuana? So taxes have an impact that people don't even realize. I've had people tell me, well, I'm low income, I don't pay taxes. And I go, oh yeah, you do. You go to the grocery store and you buy toothpaste and washing powders and stuff, you pay taxes. And if you rent, I've had people tell me, well, I rent, I don't have to worry about property tax. I said, oh, yes, you do. If you rent, your landlord is rolling that tax or that tax
well, you know what they say,
right into it.
The only things certain in life are death and taxes.
Boy, did they get that right.
And also,
and that's something and that goes for whether you are for or against it.
Exactly.
Another area you pay taxes. I know this personally. I own a car, and so you pay personal property tax on that as well.
Do you have a hybrid or an electric?
My wife does.
It's an older model.
So is mine. Tell her taxes are.
Oh, she already knows, and she's already mad.
Well, see, that's what they did. They didn't tell you that our legislature did that. Taxes impact people, and it's not right. You know, we are, and I think because most people don't understand down there who are raising taxes, a lot of those people have plenty of money, so taxes don't hurt them. But they don't realize that this impacts everybody. And that most people, when they see taxes, they think this needs to be for necessities. Let's get our necessities taken care of, road. Especially if you've been on this road from Jonesboro to Little Rock. Oh my word! You know, I've ridden on smoother gravel roads. Yeah. So let's get those things taken care of. Let's not raise taxes to do a lot of things that will only impact a small percentage of people, but everybody will have to pay for.
But do you feel that there's a deeper discussion that needs to be had? Because again, like someone like me, I don't know the ins and outs of taxes, and there are many other citizens.
I want to chime in on that one. I think it's absolutely a discussion because just look, not to even past this Team Jonesboro thing. You know, there's a debate on taxes on the state and federal level, and of course, you have the conservatives who are in favor of as little taxes as possible, tax cuts. You have liberals and progressives who believe that taxes should help to support more programs, things to help the less fortunate. But I think the discussion is what exactly is deemed necessary, and it's a question that I'm always curious about for my conservative friends. You know, what is necessary? I mean, and I think it's be a good debate to one day have in the future because I think there's, you know, some cloudiness on where that line is drawn. We got a comment on our Facebook Live feed from Yesenia who says it is a misconception that gas and medicine will be affected by the sales tax.
This particular sales tax, but I was trying to show that this is not the only sales tax that we're looking at increasing. The gas taxes and diesel taxes are going up. And no, we pay very few taxes on food, and we don't pay taxes on pharmacy. So people don't need to be worried about that. And when I say pharmacy, I'm talking about anything that's been prescribed by the doctor. So our taxes on foods has gone down to around 1% and something. So that's not necessarily much of an element. But the taxes of everything else that you buy. I go to Walmart all the time to buy groceries and everything else. But trust me, that goes
you're talking
up.
about taxes being layered on top of taxes.
That's what
basically.
I'm talking about.
Okay. All right. So getting back to the issue at hand, what are some of the other feedback from the members of your group? How do they feel about the Team Jonesboro side? Again, I'm not taking one way or the other. I'm just asking what has been some of the feedback in the comments about why they are against.
Well, it's basically the same thing. As a matter of fact, when we started putting out this information about what Arkansas pays comparatively, for our income in taxes, and people started saying, yeah, that's right. And so most of the people that we've seen agree with us. Well, I think it's almost universal about the police and the fire, that they want to see them protected and they want to see those taxes taken care of so that we get the police that we need, we get the fire stations we need. But they've been very concerned about these other so-called amenities.
Okay.
And so,
And on top of that, I'm going to read a Facebook comment, but I have something I do want to chime in with. Yesenia says medical marijuana should not be affected by the sales tax. It was mentioned earlier. Now, in a couple of the presentations that I've attended and live stream, Chief Elliott has attended, and of course Chief Elliott has obviously given his support for the proposal. But one of the things that Chief Elliott says is he feels that the two do tie together because without the quality of life projects, people don't have things to do, and that makes the crime rate go up. So he thinks that the quality of life issues actually is a matter of public safety. So what's your response to that?
I understand his point, but I've said at different presentations, I think that's backward. And as I've said 3 or 4 times already before, we think that amenities like this need to be primarily dealt with the private enterprise. That we're not against the amenities as such, but we're against automatically lumping all 10 or 11 or 12 or whatever the number is right now into the taxpayer's lap. We've got By the way, let me just say, bicycle and pedestrian paths is mentioned too, and that's not a problem. If you like to bicycle, I don't bicycle. I did when I was a kid. I don't bicycle now. I don't know any of my friends that bicycle, but that's not the issue because we don't always just pay taxes for things that a few people do. But they're wanting this, and Mayor Perrin had identified, I think, $174 million of bicycle trails in Jonesboro that they could have if and when they were funded. Well, that shouldn't be a solely taxpayer-funded issue. We could also do registration of these bicycles. I'm sure most of y'all realize that some of the bicycles are not like the $60 bicycles I bought for my kids when they were kids. I mean, these are $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 bicycles. Why aren't we registering those to help? Walmart in Fayetteville, and we're always now seem to be like we're, being compared to Walmart or to Fayetteville. Walmart put in $74 million over 10 years for Fayetteville's bicycle paths. Okay, who are we going to ask to do that? Let's do that before we dump everything into the taxpayer's lap.
So you feel there's a lot of untapped resources.
Absolutely.
And one thing I'm learning in some of my classes is that a lot of corporations have pockets of money, buckets of money that they would like to give out to smaller communities for different projects. So, but on the flip side of that, there are some companies who are not very socially responsible. They say one thing, but then they do another. And so do we have to also be mindful while we're asking for money from this corporation, look at their overall social impact that they have? Like, there's a lot of different...
I don't know, but I think that brings up a good point. How many of these industries have gotten a little bit of a tax break, to come to Arkansas, or come to Jonesboro area? Sometimes it's a state tax break. Sometimes it's a local tax break. Maybe they could give a few % of that back to the local community and help do some of this. That's what we're for. Let's not just dump everything into the laps of middle and lower income who, because of the cost of these amenities, like I said before, these are not going to be free to go to. I've talked to people out there who think, well, this is great, I'll just drop the kids off at the water center. And I said, whoa. The average cost per person at the water centers in Arkansas, $10 to $12 a person. Magic Springs? I've never been to. It's $40 a person. Now, I don't think it'll be anywhere near that expensive, but my point is these can't be free because there's no way the city can support that. They're going to have a cost for that.
Could I say something about that?
Absolutely, please
do. I have worked with scans, suspected child abuse and neglect, and worked with kids for a long time, and I think this thing about that Chief Elliott says, I think the whole premise is wrong. We're going to go out and make bike paths and all these fun things like that, and that's just going to make people not do bad things. I don't get the rationale there myself, because that's not my experience with working kids. It's not they don't have this to do, that do. They don't have love, and that's from families and like that. So I think they're looking at everything wrong.
Well, we got a couple more Facebook comments. Let's see. Amanda Donovan says she was talking about the papers, not the medical marijuana in general. Yesenia says our sales taxes at the moment are lower than every county around us. Even with the increase, the only county that will be lower than us will be Paragould. That's Greene County. Sorry if this was mentioned before. I joined in late. Well, it doesn't matter when you join in. We're just glad that you're joining in the discussion. And you can join in the discussion as well. Just give us a call at 870-277-1080. Or you can leave your questions and your comments on our Facebook Live feed.
I want to ask, do you feel that the way that the proposal was presented with the type of amenities that were presented, that may have some people kind of up in arms against it? Because at the presentation I've attended and the videos I've watched, they have also mentioned pocket parks, and they said that other groups or people can submit a proposal for an amenity that wasn't on the list. So
you mean we didn't have enough?
Well, I think in speaking to what Q said, and this is something that's been discussed on this program, that there have been some people who would like to see projects on the north side of town, projects that cater more to the minority community and the underprivileged community. And there was a bit of disappointment that there was a lack of things like that in some of the things that have been initially put out there.
Mm-hmm. Well, I understand that too, because we need, as I said before, Jonesboro could use a couple of extra swimming pools, station around where you didn't have to drive clear across town to get your kids to school. So, I understand their concern on issues like that.
It's not being opposed to these things. It's the way it's being done, and so much money that'll be put into them with maybe not much accountability. It's not the amenities themselves that's the problem.
Also, and I'm gonna increase on this. This was proposed at the beginning of the summer. People are out of school, nobody's paying attention, and it was run straight through the board. People were not allowed to comment, and because I attended all but one of the city council meetings, and when this was done, and we had people get up and say, "I've got a problem with such and such," and they were told by city council members, "We're not here to litigate this. Sit down, be quiet." They didn't. I'm making up the bit about sit down, be quiet. But it was essentially the same thing. We're not here to litigate this. Do you have a question about this particular item? And people were just astounded. Nobody was allowed to comment saying this might not be the best thing. And instead they ran it straight through to a vote. And all but one alderman voted for it. Well, he had questions that never got answered. He said, first of all, where are you getting your money? Where are you getting your figures? Where are you, what is this 1%? Why 12 years and not 10? He didn't even get any answers, and he was basically, I saw in one of the city council meetings that I was there for, basically attacked and told, you're being irresponsible in what you're doing. Now that sets the tone for the entire city when you're looking at this and go, hold it. If this proposal is not suitable to be talked about and dealt with, and then and 2 months later we vote on it at the end of the summer when people have been out all over creation and nobody's been paying attention and nobody's been reading the newspaper about the information that has come out about it, that is a rushed proposal. See, special elections I have a real problem with anyway, and so did here just a few years ago the editors of our paper here. They're expensive. They're unnecessary. They could be held. I don't care what anybody says, this is not an emergency situation. This could be dealt with during the primaries. This could be dealt with during the general election.
And I'll respond to that. When we had Team Jonesboro on, that question came up, and their response was that if this is during the general election, especially if it's like during the 2020 election, that it will get buried. Obviously, the presidential election is going to command a lot of attention. We're going to have one of our senators that is going to be up for re-election. We're going to have the mayoral race. We've got some local state representative races, local state senate race. So they were saying that this would get lost amongst all the noise of all of these other races, especially the presidential, that would command much more attention. What is your response to that?
I think that that's a specious argument. I said during primary, this doesn't have to be during a general election. We could have waited until March when the primary, May, whenever it is, the primary season happens. This could be dealt with then. They wouldn't be fighting a lot of competing arguments. But in Arkansas, we didn't even have local sales tax elections in Arkansas until 1981 when the legislature said, okay, you can tax, raise your taxes all you want to. Since then, we've had 900 sales tax increases across the state in local elections.
Since 1981?
Since 1981. Sales tax elections, and I have to get my feed here and I can't see it.
While you're doing that, I have a Facebook comment I'm going to quickly read. Shelley Russell Anderson says the Oversight Integrity Council is more accountability than we have ever had. This group talks about local control. A citizen-led initiative and oversight committee is about as much local control of how our tax seers, I'm guessing autocorrect must have said dollars, but it said seers instead, are spent so as we can get.
Well, my response would be, it looks like it is. Things are not always the way that they appear. And I know this ordinance that they had to go to Little Rock to have written because apparently we didn't have any lawyers here capable. I'm sorry, I just think everything that we could do locally needs to be done locally. But as I was going to say, the special elections, the pass rate of a tax increase during a special election, 77%. The pass rate of a local sales tax initiative during a general election is only 44%. Now, why do people have special elections for tax increases?
Because they feel they would get more people out. Because that would be.
I'm saying we need more people because the average is 19% of people attend a special election. Look at your school board elections and millage increases. Almost nobody shows up for those. People show up for primary elections and they show up for general elections, and that's the only fair time it is to say, unless it's an emergency. Now, if it's a certified emergency, but this is not. And, I'm sorry, I just disagree with Team Jonesboro. This is not an emergency.
Do you feel that if this was pushed, to the, say, primaries, that, again, more discussion can be had about not necessarily scrap the proposal of the amenities they have, but let's kind of redraft a new proposal.
I think so. I think that is possible.
That actually bring more people from different sides of town and different walks of life, I should say, to the table. And again, I'm not trying to criticize them because I don't know the setup. However, based on discussion that has happened, it seems that there are more people who would now like to be a part of the discussion.
Well, I think we maybe have raised some concerns about this whole process. As I said before, when you push a process through, and I am not aware, and I try to keep up really closely to what goes on in the city, I am not aware of one other proposal that has gone from the way this one has, straight through the board meeting, 3 readings, and then on to the ballot with absolutely almost no commentary from the other side saying, wait a minute, have you allowed, we need to see private developers rein in and say, well, we'll do this or that. We just have not had anything of this. This is just take it or leave it. This is what we're going to say. We're going to run this through. We're going to spend all this money. We're going to take $100 million for amenities out of the pockets of Jonesboro residents. And then, and if you don't like it, well, just vote against it. I'm saying there's a better way that this could have been done.
Anytime you
go ahead and we have Facebook comment.
Anytime you rush something through like that, you have to be suspect of it. I mean, you can't help but be suspect.
And that doesn't mean we think the people doing this are all that, there's anything wrong with them. We think they're honorable people. We just think they didn't consider everybody's viewpoint when they did this. It's basically a fairly small group that were in charge of this, and they got together and ran this proposal, got it all worked up and everything, and then basically ran it through the city council. And we're saying this should have been a whole lot more discussion. Should have been a whole lot more people brought into it. And I'm talking about people from all over Jonesboro.
We have a Facebook comment from Shelley Russell Anderson, who says, we were able to apply to be on the Oversight Integrity Council. If she doesn't trust her neighbors, she should apply to join the OIC.
Okay, I don't know if you've looked at and once again, this makes it difficult.
We have to get ready to go into a break. So I'll let you answer that on the other side of the break. Good discussion. We are speaking with Citizens Tax Enough. They are talking about their thoughts on the Team Jonesboro proposal. And of course, we're not going to tell you which way to vote, but we definitely are going to say get out and vote, whether you are for this or against this. Early voting starts September 3rd. Election day is September 10th. Like we say in my fraternity, a voteless people is a hopeless people. Someone's going to make the choice for you, so why not have a say? We'll be back. It's the Community Conversations on KLEK on 2.5 FM.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
We're back with Money Matters. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. Saving for your retirement now is the most significant wealth-building move you can make for your long-term financial security. But suppose your employer offers a Roth 401k in addition to the traditional 401k option. So what's the best option for you? The answer, as usual, is it depends. You may find the Roth option more appealing if you're young or in the early stages of your career. If your income is likely lower now than it will be in the future, as your earning power grows, it may be to your advantage to pay the taxes now rather than wait until you retire. The Roth option may also be the better choice if you expect to be in a higher tax bracket in retirement, which means you'll be paying more taxes in retirement with a traditional 401k than you would today with a Roth. The longer you wait to start saving for retirement, the more money it'll take for you to save enough to retire. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. for Money Matters, a product of American Urban Radio Networks.
Money Matters is made possible by the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, a nonprofit organization focused on joy in our sisterhood, power in our voice, and service in our hearts. www.jonesboroalumnidst.org.
Money Matters is brought to you by the Gears Foundation, a nonprofit organization providing students with assistance in their academic and career pursuits. Gears Foundation on Facebook, Gears_Inc. on Instagram, and the Gears Foundation gearsfoundation@gmail.com.
Money Matters is brought to you by Bancorp South, offering checking, savings, loans, credit cards, and wealth management. 5 locations in Jonesboro to serve you. www.bancorpsouth.com or 870-972-9800.
KLEK thanks CJ Pepper and the staff of Life Strategies Counseling Incorporated for helping people through hard times in life such as depression, family issues, stress, abuse, and more. They offer counseling and therapy for all ages, individuals, families, and groups. They are located at 1217 Stone Street. Phone number 1-866-972-1268 or online at lscihelp.com.
House of Details, located at 3915 East Highland in Jonesboro, is a proud supporter of KLEK, offering detailing on any type of vehicle: basic wash, hand wash, shampoo, interior cleaning, waxing, buffering, headlight restoration, pickup, delivery, and more, with a motto of anything mean we can clean. Details at 870-273-5187. House of Details on Facebook and at klekfm.org.
The Mu Omicron Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated was established on January 1st, 1977, originally serving Blytheville, Arkansas, and now serving Jonesboro, Blytheville, Osceola, Marion, and West Memphis, Arkansas. Today, the chapter continues to make an impact by focusing on Alpha's national community outreach initiatives such as My Brother's Keeper, A Voteless People is a Hopeless People, Go to High School, Go to College, Project Alpha, Boy Scouts, and the March of Dimes. The Mu Omicron Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated is committed to Alpha's mission of developing leaders, promoting brotherhood and academic excellence, while providing service and advocacy to the community. More information about the Mu Omicron Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated is available at MOL Alphas on Facebook or via email at molalphas@gmail.com.
This portion of KLEK programming can be made possible by your business. Your support will help in educating, entertaining, and empowering the community by supporting local talent, serving the community you love, and providing information on issues you care about from a different perspective. Call 870-203-9951 or visit klekfm.org to learn how we can help connect you more with the community, or visit us at 1411 Franklin Street. KLEK 102.5 Jonesboro, educating, entertaining, and empowering the community.
KLEK 102.5 FM salutes small businesses. Small businesses promote local character and success, keeping money in the local economy, local jobs, entrepreneurship, community well-being, and so much more. Contact us today to learn more on how your small business could be featured on KLEK for as little as $25 per month.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
Welcome back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We're speaking with members of Citizens Taxed Enough and my sidekick today, Mr. Cato Wonder. So go ahead, sir.
Oh, so I'm actually on this time?
You're on this time.
Okay. Getting back to our Facebook shout-outs. Shelly Russell Anderson says, over 600 people is not a small group, and nothing was, in parentheses, ran through. Over 2 years have been put into the preparation of this, and it was read in front of City Council 3 times, just as it should be by law. And then Amanda Donovan says, please be informed, please read the proposal, please vote, no matter which side of the fence you are on, whether you are for it or against it. Many people who have fought and died for rights, hashtag votes matter, hashtag it's our duty. Even in special elections, many people come to our country just for this right.
That's right.
All right, so would you like to respond to Mrs. Anderson's comments?
This is real difficult because I don't like talking in any way that could be considered negative toward any one person or group of people. I disagree with what she said, and I think we've got the research that backs up a lot of this stuff. By the way, somebody had asked earlier how much this tax would mean, and 4 or 5 years ago, when basically our taxes were about the same as they are now, our city editor had done a study of how much this tax would run, and this is shocking. I didn't even realize this until I read his article. He said, voters need to remember that the $227 that they would pay in extra at that time per tax, he said, would be on top of the $1,892 the average family already spends on sales taxes for a total of $2,119. Mind you, that's $21,190 over the next 10 years. So that would be what a family would pay extra. He said, so in reality, that penny, because this was the penny for progress tax increase they tried to get through, is really about $2,270 for the average family. And then over 10 years that tax, and this one will be in for 12 years, he said that's a pretty hefty sales tax increase when you figure $21,190 over the life of that sales tax increase. So that's what it would mean, just the 1%.
Okay. All right. So it seems like there's still a lot of discussion needs to be had, and maybe people will make up their minds.
Well, that's why I appreciate these kind of forums, because we've heard a lot from Team Jonesboro, because the mayor and the city council, except for necessarily one person, have all been for it. That as far as I know, that I've been told this, I haven't looked at myself, they're on the Team Jonesboro team, and so we've gotten a lot of information about that. And what we're trying to do is say, wait a minute, there's some other issues here that we need to think about. And this is not just going to be fluffy bunnies and unicorns. There are some real serious issues that need to be considered before you put a 1% tax for 12 years over the town. And, well, like I'm going to say again, nobody that I've ever spoken to has a problem with fire and police. They want the money to go to them. It should have gone to them in 2010 when they did not increase, 2014 when they did not renew that tax increase there. We wouldn't be having this conversation. That half-cent tax could have been renewed. The police and the fire would not have been going through the issues that they're going through right now. That's why these talks are important. Okay. And yes, people ought to go vote. But get educated before you vote. Just go vote based on emotion, because yay, I think this sounds like a great idea.
You see here chimes in, says $2,100 per year for 1% increase, ? That would require to spend $210,000. Well, I'm not a math person.
No, I don't think it's figured out that
per
way.
year, she says.
I don't think it figures. I don't think that's the way that you figure that out. And like I said, the figures are the editor of the Sun who did the study and looked at the average income, average people, what they average spent for sales taxes, and that's what he said.
All right, getting ready to get into our close of the show. Got about 2 minutes. So, anything that you would like to say or touch upon that we did not cover?
What about you, Bob?
No, I just don't know why they had to rush it through so fast. That's my question. Wow, well, it's not an emergency, so why could this not been up to another election where more people would be involved in the election process?
And will you all host any public forums?
Oh, I don't know if we're capable of it. We've got a lot of support, but we don't have a lot of assets, to do things like that. Team Jonesboro has come up with $125,000, $130,000 to spend on this campaign, and let's just say that we're not even in the same commas as they are.
What about a live Facebook from your page or something?
That if I know
or
anybody,
you can maybe host a forum from a local church. There's avenues available.
Yeah.
Of course, the important thing is that both sides are heard and the message is brought out.
I agree 100%. And to vote. Get out and vote for it or against it. Vote and know why you're voting for it or against it.
All right. We want to thank you all for stopping by the studio today. As a programming note, we will have Team Jonesboro here on Community Conversations this Wednesday, so be sure to tune in to check that out as well. And most importantly, no matter what side that you feel on this issue, make sure that you go out and vote. Early voting starts September 3rd, and Election Day is September 10th. And of course, KLEK, we do not endorse nor support nor oppose this proposal. This information was provided, this interview was provided for informational purposes only, and no compensation was provided for this interview. We do this for educational purposes only, because our model is to educate, entertain, and empower, because we are Jonesboro's community radio station. Oh, Yesenia says, I can help set up a forum. Yesenia, inbox the KLEK page your number, and I'll pass it on to them so you can get with them to set up a forum. See, that's how it works. We are a community. We're your community, and we want to keep the community informed. Join me at 11:30 for the A-State first annual press conference of the season. They're actually going to be from their new football facility, so I'm looking forward to actually seeing how it looks. So I'll be on Facebook Live at 11:30 for the first press conference of the football season. You guys have a great and blessed day. This is KLEK 102.5 FM.
Thank you for listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM, a program focusing on the people working to make the Jonesboro community a better place while offering viewpoints from all